Special effects have been a part of cinema for as long as it's been around. What we call SFX can range from explosions, large detailed sets, costumes, makeup, or in today's case, giant monster costumes. Here in the West, when it came to using giant creatures or fantastical organisms on screen, there was more of an emphasis on animatronics or stop motion, and sometimes they'd even put a guy in a suit if the monster was medium or human-sized. And this was all mostly before CGI. Nowadays, it's all totally CGI for the most part. But over in Japan, the most iconic examples of cinema's giant monsters were born through suit acting, or suitmation. Stuntman plus 100-pound rubber suit plus miniature city equals a long-lasting and beloved media franchise. Speaking of which, I'm certain the Godzilla franchise needs no introduction. So we're just gonna jump right back to a more dire period of the character's history. It's 1975, and the final film of the Showa era, Terror of Mechagodzilla, directed by series creator Ishiro Honda, releases to mixed reviews, and a box office return underwhelming enough to put the character on ice for nearly 10 years. That doesn't mean they didn't try to go out with a bang, at least. In the climactic final battle between him and the film's eponymous antagonist, Godzilla endures a barrage of missile fire and laser beam from Mechagodzilla, charging through it completely unfazed so he can finally take Mechagodzilla down. You may have noticed that Godzilla actually caught fire here, and you may be remembering that this is all practical suitmation at this point. So the stuntman, Taro Kawai, inside the costume, actually is on fire here. Don't worry, he's fine. What's a little less fine is the history between suitmation and on-set accidents. In the years before CGI was introduced to the Godzilla franchise, there were multiple instances where stuntmen on set have gotten mildly hurt or nearly killed due to the cumbersome nature of these monster costumes. This is a non-existent worry when you replace suitmation with CGI, which is all simulated and predictable, unlike practical effects. But this opens a whole debate about practical effects versus CGI, or in this case, when it comes to special effects, is it better to maintain that real feeling practical effects brings despite its uncontrollable nature? Or is it better to go for the safer and controllable CGI, even though some may find it feeling less real and almost soulless? What's ironic is that this flaming mishap is not nearly as bad as what some other kaiju stuntmen have had to go through. While filming Godzilla vs. Destroya, steam that emitted from burning Godzilla's body was reportedly carbon monoxide, which would cause suit actor Kenpachiro Satsuma to lose consciousness and collapse many times while filming. That's just one incident of a couple involving this particular suit alone. And this was at a time where suitmation was much more safe than it was in the 50s and 60s. Of course, outside of just Godzilla, practical effects have caused worse incidents, like the infamous Twilight Zone movie helicopter crash, where people actually died on set. With all that said, this doesn't mean CGI is a superior alternative here. While people don't die when CGI goes wrong, hours of work and millions of dollars can be wasted. Refer to Toy Story 2, and how the whole movie was randomly deleted by accident. Or Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and how generating the insanely detailed character Devastator allegedly caused one of ILM's computers to catch fire just trying to render this thing.
Our computer IT guys came up to look at what had happened. They said that the motherboard was dead, the hard drive had failed, and the memory was fried. So, everybody was a little bit afraid of Devastator at that point because he would devastate your machine.
Even Oscar-winning CGI marvel Godzilla -1 had its own technical problems. The water effects that are used extensively throughout this film were infamously hard to render. Harder to render than Godzilla himself. Some very short, seconds-long shots that included these water effects took up as much as 5 terabytes of data on the VFX artist's computers. It's also important to note that both CGI and practical effects aren't inherently flawed. When a practical stunt hurts somebody, it's usually because someone on set got careless. And when CGI breaks on us or visually turns out less than desirable, it's usually because VFX artists tend to be overworked and given little time by the people in charge make everything look as good as possible. I personally think that the best approach to this issue is to understand the strengths and weaknesses of both practices and use them in tandem with each other. Jurassic Park is renowned for its revolutionary CGI, but over half the movie is made up of practical animatronics. And the recently released Project Hail Mary featured very astounding CGI for the ships, the environments, and the character of Rocky, who is also portrayed by a practical puppet on set. Even the modern Godzilla movies have transitioned to CGI, and managed to win an Oscar for it. And even then, the motion capture used in some of the newer films still keeps the suitmation spirit alive. Practical effects and CGI have their place in modern cinema, and I think it's best to understand when and where we should use them on set based on what we risk harming, be it technology or people. Even though this technical accident made Terror of Mechagodzilla all the more iconic, Godzilla's flaming charge should serve as a reminder of the power of practical effects, as well as the risks we take on set when working with seemingly unpredictable technology to make our films feel all the more real. My name is IECB Studios, and thank you for watching.